Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of In the Box, the podcast. This episode, we're doing something a little different. I mean, I know that this whole In the Box YouTube channel and eventually what ended up sort of spilling over into this podcast has been focused on music production and audio engineering. But I just thought it would be really interesting to get to just step away from the production side of things for a little bit and speak to a very good friend of mine who is currently the country head of CD Baby. So I just figured that the whole importance of what do artists do, especially indie artists who probably don't have a manager or don't have a record label and don't really know what to do with their music when they put it out, right? I thought it would be interesting to have a chat with somebody who can really shed some light on what's the most effective and efficient way of putting your music out there. What are the things that you can really do to sort of just get that extra mile from your music and do it independently, right? So I just thought that this is the perfect opportunity to have my friend Ritnika Nayan onto the show and be a guest on the show. She's currently the country head of CD Baby. And before that, she has an amazing story and her just a journey of everything that she's done from going to New York, coming back to India, going to London, coming back to India, um, starting her own company, being an entrepreneur, being a pioneer in the industry, um, starting a jam pad, writing her own book, publishing it, or like having it published, and then eventually the CD Baby thing, and she's just such a great friend and such a great person, and she's also doing things to help people. I think everything that she's doing, uh, her goal at the end of the day, like the root of where it's all coming from, is to help people. So I really like that. I really, really like connected with it. And, we've had some great times. She's the founder of MGMH, which is Music Gets Me High. They used to be an artist management company. She used to be my manager at a point. And I mean, she's just so professional. And it was just, she was one of the first people that really started this whole artist management thing in India. It was back in the day, it was not such a big thing. It was not a thing that was that common. So yeah, I mean, I'm just really happy that she came over here and I learned some things about her that I didn't know, and I've known her for over 20 years. So it was just such a great chat and just such a great catch up session. And I think we all can really learn so much from this episode. So, all you independent musicians, stay tuned and let's dive right in the box with Ritnika Nayan.
I'm gonna go deep in the box. Ooh, deep in the box. One, two, three, here we go.
Hey, how's it going? So good to see you, man.
How's it going?
So, got done sorting our little sound check, but now we can actually now catch up, man. My God, it's
Exactly.
been a while.
It's been a very, very long time.
And I love your backdrop.
Gotta represent.
Zen, holy shit. No, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. Such awesome stuff, and bringing so many artists together and putting out stuff through that platform. It's great. A client of mine, an artist, I should say, artist of mine that I just produced, she uploaded her song, I think.
Last night.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You know about that?
I know everything that's going on, baby.
Yeah. Oh, my God. But that song is going to be phenomenal. I can't wait. I think it's coming out before the 15th for sure.
Yeah.
Wow, man. So I would love to kind of hear your journey, and so we're going a little out of the box for this particular episode, because this, as of now, this podcast has pretty much been about production and engineering and stuff, right? But
Mhm.
I mean, especially in this time of this lockdown and stuff, there are so many people and musicians that really can't gig anymore. They can't really play any more shows, and they still need an outlet to really vent out whatever is in their head. Musicians need a channel, a platform to vent, and that is now they're reaching out to producers to produce a song or a record or something for them. And a lot of them usually ask me, well, now how do we make the most of this now that we're done producing? And that's not really my area of expertise. So when we were speaking the other day, and I was like, this is just a brilliant idea, because even though this is not really about music production, but it's what comes after. And so many musicians can, I think, just benefit from your knowledge, and just what are the wonders of everything that CD Baby and you can do
Mhm.
for them. So I'm just gonna let you just take it away. Yeah.
I think the first thing is that artists, and I love artists. All my friends are artists, but I think the problem is the artists spend so much time making the song, right? So they'll spend a year writing it, producing it, whatever. But when it comes to release, they don't spend that much time planning. And I always tell them, I'm like, that's your baby. A song is your baby. You've spent so much time working on it. But if you're going to rush the release, and if you're not going to plan the release properly, it's not going to do well. And at the end of the day, no, as much as we would like to think that the song itself should speak and nothing else matters, it is a business, and at the end of the day, you have to plan the release properly. And that's the first thing. So even if you have say a single coming out, you should be like planning a couple of months in advance. You should have a marketing plan in place. You should figure out, if you're a new artist and you've just started like your social media pages, there's no point you releasing a song right then, because there's nobody following you. So who's going to listen to it? Who's going to discover you? So if you are releasing a song, say this year, you should have been building your social media pages from last year, so you have enough followers. So just basically thinking about things like that. Then once your song gets uploaded, you got to upload it at least a month in advance. People like to rush the release. Oh, I want it out tomorrow. I want it out in a week. Like, I just got an email today. My song was supposed to come out today. I uploaded it 5 days ago. I'm like, dude, like, what the, what the hell? And I'm just like, listen, you're not going to be able to, get the most out of your music if you're not planning things properly. Because a platform like CD Baby, we're a preferred partner of Apple and Spotify. And in order for us to be a preferred partner, everything goes through human inspection. If you go through some of the other platforms, you can put up any rubbish, and later on the platforms might flag it. It might be an issue, and you will have no idea. You know,
Mm.
so inspection takes time, and then once we deliver it to platforms, the platforms need a week to 2 weeks for their algorithms to understand your music so they can recommend it to the right audience. So when you upload your song, it'll ask you, what does it sound like? You might be like, sounds like Zeppelin. So then Spotify will make sure that people who are listening to Zeppelin, get access to this song, but they need time. So when you rush your release, it doesn't happen.
So how do I'm sure that's like some algorithm that sort of
Yeah.
clubs that together. Do you know anything about that? I mean, how does that happen? And suppose if I want to sound like Chris Daughtry, for example, you
Mm-hmm.
know, how is it that like my song is going to show up uh, for people that like Chris Daughtry? Like, how
So
does,
when you upload your music, there's a lot of metadata information that the distributors ask. They ask you for your genre, your subgenre, your second genre, second subgenre. And then they also have this area that says sounds like. So you can mention the artist you sound like. And then of course that metadata gets delivered to all the platforms, and each platform have their own way of sorting it out. But if you ask anybody, if you talk to anybody from Spotify or Apple, they'll all tell you that you need to give the algorithms some time. You know, in fact, one of the platform really likes to use this example that Bollywood guys like to release their music like in a day, and those songs never do well because it hasn't had enough time to kind of be discovered.
I know. Yeah. And that is, even though they're Bollywood, and even though the rules are kind of different for them, just because they've already had this sort of a fan following
Yeah,
that's happening. No, so that's amazing, man. And just
yeah.
to a platform like this, I mean, I remember back in the day when we were still in school and stuff like that, record labels were like, artists were at the mercy of record labels. There was no
Hmm.
way of getting stuff out. And I really want to put it out there that for any young artist that is putting out music today, I hope you guys realize how lucky you are to have platforms like this, because it was not easy. I remember a time when Cyanide was going to RSJ office with our little demo CD and going here and going there. And oh man,
Today's kids don't even know what RSJ is.
that's so sad though.
I know, right? But I mean, honestly, so finding the right distributors, of course, the first step, but then it's also like the extras, right? So once you do upload it a month in advance, you don't just sit around for a month twiddling your thumb, you got to figure out how to promote it. So, for example, CD Baby has something called show.co. So
Mm,
you can run like a Spotify pre-save campaign, you can run like ads. I mean, you got to be smart. You got to have, be very active online. You got to do other marketing stuff. So I teach music business, and one of the things that is one of our assignments for my students is basically how to make a marketing plan for a release.
right.
And I make them start like 6 months before, because when you're first starting out and you don't have a PR person, you need at least a couple of months to start digging up contacts of PR people, like of journalists and in stuff like that. You're not going to get it overnight.
I know. Holy shit, man. No, so let me just tell you kind of how this podcast works. And like, I know that we jumped right into the CD Baby thing, but so before, when I edit everything together, there is like a little pre-intro type of thing that I do by myself on the mic.
Hmm.
I give a little bit of a brief about who you are, and what's your story. And
Hmm.
but I would love for you to kind of tell your story, man, because like with all the steps that you've taken, I mean, with MGMH and then your book, and now CD Baby, and
All
what
right.
was that journey like? And you know,
Oh, well, it happened 60 years ago. No, full Titanic vibes. No, no, it was what was it, 64 years? I don't know how old she was. Um, no, so I mean, honestly, my journey wasn't planned. I mean, it's like everyone out there, I love music. I used to play instruments in school. I used to play the piano. I was in a convent school, and of course I was a big rebel, so that and everybody else played the piano and they were better than me because I hate practicing and learning the notes, and I was like, yeah, this sucks, like I'm never going to get to do anything. So I took up the drums, and I was the only drummer, so by default I got to play in a band.
what? How did I not know this? You
You
would
don't know I was a drummer?
swear to God. I like, God, how long have I known you, man? Like
I've
20
known you since
years?
you were like 12.
Yeah, like, oh my God, how did I not? Anyhow, continue.
What? I am, come on, I'm anybody who knows me from school knows I'm the drummer.
That's so weird. Okay, so for me, to my introduction to you was always Akanksha's cousin.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was kind of the introduction, and of course, I remember we used to come to your farmhouse and you used to have
Hmm.
pool parties all the time. That was my introduction. I never, in fact, like later on when I came to know about MGMH and stuff, that was kind of like, oh, wait a second, you and Ritnika as an Akanksha's cousin?
Yeah.
Hey, I should give it a call. And like,
Yeah, very few people still refer to me as a Kangsha's cousin. It's very sad. No, but like, yeah, so that's pretty much, so I used to play, I took part in all the competitions, Brother Bergens, Cornucopia, all of the school competitions back in the day.
holy shit. Okay, well, yeah. So go on. Go on.
So and then I mean, and at the same time I used to actually do a lot of theater. I used to love acting and I love dance. I used to do jazz ballet and I used to do musicals basically at Kamani and stuff like that. So, so for me, it was always music, dance. That's all I did. I barely studied, so I used to do that as well. And, I used to do theater. And so when I wanted to go study, I wanted to go to New York for college because I always wanted to be on Broadway.
I was just going to say that. I didn't know about the musical thing either. And I didn't know that that's something that we have.
Wait, hold on. 1 second. You don't know about the musical thing? How do you think I know Jason and Jared? They were in the same musical with me.
A second. Fame?
The brothers, yeah.
Oh my God. I watched that play.
Yes, I was dancing with Jared, who kept stepping on my foot.
Oh my God. I envy you because he's a big guy.
No, that time he wasn't that big. He was like 12 or 13 years old at that time. But yeah, that's how I know them. So
holy shit. That's so crazy that I had a friendship with your cousin and you had a friendship with mine.
Yep. See? How crazy is that? The world is so tiny.
Oh my God. So shit. So I mean, like, I'm a huge Broadway fan as well. And that's kind of the reason that I moved to New York. And like, I love musicals and I love theater and all that stuff. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, for me, I was like, one day I will be on Broadway. And, I grew up like loving New York. My parents love New York. And I have a big history with New York. Like my first international travel was to New York. I learned how to walk in New York. So it was like New York to jana hi hai, like it,
That's unbelievable.
So, so when I went to study, I got into Hofstra, which is in Long Island. And the idea was that I would shift to NYU after the first year. Because, my grades weren't that great, obviously, because I was too busy doing musicals and playing in a band.
Right.
And and obviously, when I went there, Indian mindset, ki theater has no money. So I should study film and television production. So I'm a film major. I'm a television and film major. So I'm a trained filmmaker. That's what I am. So
yes.
Yeah. So when I went there, the first week of college was 9/11.
Oh my God. Boy.
So after that, I decided it's better to be in Long Island and not bang in the city because I saw the second building fall. Like I could see it from our building. You could still, I saw it from my library.
I cannot even imagine what that must have been like, man.
It was scary. It was bad because they would shut the borders. And I remember speaking to my mom that morning saying, I'm going into the city to buy jazz shoes. And then she couldn't get a hold of me for days because everything was down.
Everything was down. Shit. Yeah.
So, yeah. So it was, at that time we didn't have internet oh my God, I sound so old. But yeah, that time we didn't have internet as such. We had
we had the dial-up modem.
Yeah, and our phones were not smartphones.
Ding dong, ding dong, ding.
Yeah. So exactly. I mean, in college we were fine, but like my phone wasn't a smartphone, and I remember sending a mail to my mom, and she didn't get it. It wasn't that easy kind of thing, but it was tough. But anyway, while I was there, I joined the concert organizing committee. And that's pretty much how the music business side of my life started because, I love music. So I joined Hofstra concerts and they were basically in charge of organizing concerts in college. And we had like the largest budget. We had $160,000 budget that year or first year, some shit like that. And we would sell tickets. So the tickets money would also go back. And it's sort of like a little mini business. And the first concert I got to work on, which was 1 month into my college life, was the Counting Crows.
Oh, nice.
And I was just like, whoa, this is a whole new side of the music business. I mean, this is 2001, like 20 years ago. Like nobody knew that you could do that for a living, and we had to do everything. We had to book the artist, contracts, marketing, ticketing, production, everything. And so I did that for 4 years and I was part of the executive committee and managed to do shows for like Maroon 5, Nickelback, a couple of comedians like Jay Moore, Dave Chappelle. And it was amazing. It completely blew my mind. Like I was like, this is what I want to do.
And you got it immediately. Like, I mean, you fell into that world and that was your comfort zone
But
immediately.
it was, the thing is, yeah, that was my life. Like I spent most of my time doing that, but I was still like studying, television production. I was a TA, I was a teacher's assistant for the audio department. So I used to teach the first Pro Tools that was out there. Now I don't even know how to use it.
Oh my God. Holy shit. So you know Pro Tools as well?
Well, back in the day. Now I'm like, how the hell do I put on GarageBand? Because it's been 20 years. But like, so I mean, I was one of those kids who like just sit and spend hours in the editing studio, or and I was studying television production. So they teach you everything, from editing, producing, audio, live audio, everything. So I was studying all of that. I got to intern at MTV New York in Times Square, things like that.
That's
So yeah, that was what I did, and I came back to India. I didn't want to actually work in the US, even though I had that 1 year thing back then. It was still easier to stay, but I just wanted to come back. Business families, kids. My parents made their business out of nothing, so I was like, I want to come and do shit on my own, and I was like that.
yeah.
I came back to India, and I was like, Ritnika, you're a moron. Because so every summer I would come back, I would work. I've had a job like since I was 17. Even there I used to work. I had part-time jobs and everything. And when I came back every summer, I either worked for a television show, I worked on, like I worked on something or the other. So I was working throughout in television and ad films, and came back. I worked on a Bollywood film as an assistant director. I worked on an ITV UK film that was being shot in India, but I hated it because okay, I don't know if I should say this, but I hate Bollywood, man. Like the last Hindi movie I watched was Three Idiots because my dad forced me to watch it.
It was actually Three Idiots was really
Yeah. Yeah, that was nice. And like my favorite Hindi movie is Jaane Bhi Do Yaro. Like I like the avant-garde, cool, all Sholay. Like I'm old school, man. Like I don't like, but I don't know any of the new stuff. And I didn't, and my Hindi is horrible, and because, convent educated, they didn't let you speak Hindi. And I just like, dude, I am going to be reading scripts in Hindi. I don't even understand what I'm reading.
yeah. Holy
So I mean, yeah. So that was, I mean, the ITV film was good because it was in English, and it had that what's her name, the hot girl from the hot nanny from Sex and the City too, the one who was in MIB. Anyway, she's a hot woman.
okay.
You'll know her. She's British. She's hot. She's blonde. Got big boobs. Anyway,
I don't know. I
but
might want to.
but anyway, so it was like, it was I miss music basically. I just missed it, and I got to consult for this sports company. So there was this sports company that was doing a show for Jal's first show in India. The Jal, the band,
Right. Yeah,
and it was for the Indian cricket team, and they wanted someone to facilitate that. So I sort of worked on that project. Never got paid because they stiffed me. Of course, that's what happens.
yeah.
But I was just like, and that's where I met Dhruv Singh, who, by the way, now runs Pagal Hai, but back then worked for the sports management company. And I just like, oh my God, I missed this. This is what I want to do. So I found my master's course, program in London, which was the music business course.
Hmm.
Got in, convinced my parents to send me. Went there, got my master's in music business. And while I was there, I worked as a promoter with a company. So we used to do shows like at 100 Club, Troubadour, all of these venues. Like I used to do 4 shows a week. I got to intern with Peter Jenner, who was Pink Floyd's original manager. So yeah, that was my management internship, which was great. He was amazing. And then, yeah, I came back to India, and that was that. I came back to India and nobody would hire me.
Well, but then you started your own business.
Yeah, nobody would hire me.
Yeah.
Well, nobody would hire me because there was no business in India. Like there was nothing.
And it
You
was
know, we-
culture shock. I mean, I would like to say that, man, like back in that day, I remember like, with MGMH, like
Mhm.
to the concept of having a manager for a band was just
Yeah.
unheard of. And it was
Eh,
just like, and then it grew from there. So, I would say that you're very much like a pioneer in that front that has come, and you tried something that was new and that was probably not accepted really at first, but then
Yeah. It was tough. Yeah. And the thing was like nobody would hire me because there was no companies. I remember writing to OML and they're like, you're too overqualified. And that time OML was two people, you know. And then there was Subir, who was the other, who was in India, Delhi, who was managing his own band. And that was it. Like there weren't anybody else.
I
You
know.
know,
Yeah, everyone came later. Everyone else came later because
yeah. And then people had partners, and I am like, I'm alone. Like, I'm just gonna like fight. I didn't know anybody because I was out of India for like 6-7 years.
yeah,
So the only person I knew was Parikrama guys because my master's thesis, because I had to write a master's dissertation, which was basically on the growth of the rock movement in India, comparing it to the West.
right.
So I got to interview like Parikrama and all these guys. So I actually saw Parikrama at the Download Festival because I was in the UK then. I met them there. I'm the only one who took pictures. My pictures were published in RSJ. Because I'm like Indian band, woohoo!
And like, I mean, you knew them personally at that point, right?
No, I didn't. I had just gotten their email because I wanted to interview them for my thesis.
Holy shit! That.
But then I met up with them in London when they were playing at Underworld and just said hi, hung out. So when I came back, I knew Ashwin Mani Sharma, who from before, who was with Jalebi Cartel.
Right.
So, and I knew Dhaval.
Right.
That's it. So these were the only music people I knew.
Right. Holy shit.
Yeah. So then I spoke to Ashwin and I convinced them that, I mean, they were being managed by Dave at that time, but I managed to convince them that they should work with me and it worked. And I started managing them for like a year and a half, and we broke them into Europe. That their first international show was through me. And that's pretty much how the management company started. And then it just evolved into, I opened a studio because at that time I was managing Advaita, and Advaita kept saying they don't have a studio that is large enough to fit them, that is open late and has good sound. So I'm like, okay, that's a good business idea. And this is like, my studio has been around for like 11 years now. So so that happened. And then, I got called to run the stage at Eastwind, which was the first multi-stage festival. So then I started consulting on music festivals, and then Zero happened, and Sula Fest happened, and Guns N' Roses India tour happened. So it just kind of took off on its own.
Man, I remember we've spent so much time in that studio of yours, like the one in Oakland, right?
Yep, yeah, sound station.
Holy shit, man! We spent like countless nights just rehearsing and rehearsing and rehearsing. And I remember, even though it was a little far away, I remember always loving to go there. Because it kind of felt like home. It kind of felt the vibe was so you can go scribble on the walls. And
yeah.
I remember there used to be a huge cyanide thing written in black.
Yeah, it's still there. Nothing has been painted over.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I've kept it.
Yeah, we'd written under that. And man, like, actually, let's check out a clip of us rehearsing. I remember we were rehearsing for what you call it. It was St. Patrick's Day, and like I remember we were rehearsing, and it was just so we were just all having such a blast. So hang on, let's check this out.
Why is your counters always in a different time zone than what the song is in? Yeah, so that was a clip of us rehearsing at your place, and we would do
We were rehearsing for St. Patrick's Day. We had Shiv Lumba, who was a guest on the thing. Then we had Sood, who was playing drums.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just our band used to always have different people all the time because Srijan would be playing with Parikraman, couldn't play, or
Yeah.
something and couldn't do. But I just never wanted to say no to shows. I was like, you know what, fuck it.
Yeah. I mean, back then, you don't say no to anything.
Holy shit. I remember, man, like um just the way the industry has changed and the way, like, just the different stages that it's gone through.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we were being managed by you guys briefly as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
the album launch and everything that we did at Lodi,
Yeah.
everything, that was just a fun process, man. And I remember just having a manager was it used to take all the tension off of my head on
Mm-hmm.
getting out there and trying to get shows.
Yeah.
It used to be just the easiest thing. I remember we started off with doing social media together, and then we did the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Most people think that manager's job is just to get shows, but it's so much bigger than that. It's making the strategy and, doing a SWOT analysis and figuring out how to fix. It's business, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And just something happened in the whole scene, and there was this shift that happened, and I could feel it happening, and I was like, oh man, I don't know. I just kind of want to get away from the stage, and I just want to be in the studio, and
Yeah.
that's what made me go to New York and study audio and do all of that stuff. But having lived and worked and interned at New York and studied in New York, I mean, my experience was that being in that city and being able to hustle your way up the ladder and being able to sort of get work over there and be good at it
Mm-hmm.
was super hard, just because it's such a competitive and it's such a fast paced city. Like,
Yeah.
not everyone can keep up, man. And I don't know, like, ever since I was able to do it there, coming back here and my workflow, it's been super easy because, like, I've had to
Yeah.
work those pressure filled situations. And then, I think my story was pretty similar. When I came back, I had no work. No one was hiring.
Yeah.
They were like, okay, हाँ, अच्छा वो cyanide वाला क्या produce करता है? Like, no one was being able to accept that. And anyhow, so then, just things change. Obviously, you just have to keep
Yeah.
doing,
You
keep
just have to keep at it. Yeah.
doing what
And
you-
I think what I really felt that I learned from being outside of India for so long is work ethic more than anything. There's so many companies who say we're artists first. That's a standard line.
Yeah.
And then I see them like this is something I was just talking about recently to a student of mine. A lot of people have started record labels who are like for independent artists, and they want to own rights of the master for an independent artist. I'm like, really? Why are you doing that shit? But you're not for the artist. You want to hold on to how are you different from a big label? You're trying to hold on to the rights. You're not artist first. Artist first means you would jeopardize your relationship with a brand to ensure that your relationship with an artist doesn't get ruined or the artist doesn't get taken advantage of. you
Yeah.
know and a lot of people wouldn't do that. And for me, after 10 years of management and bookings, I kind of got fed up because there were enough people by then doing it, but you get burnt out. And I feel like I didn't want to continue doing something that I wasn't getting pleasure out of anymore. Because for me, I didn't get into music I wasn't like business idea of paise banayenge. It wasn't that, right? It was like, I do what I love and hopefully money will come.
Right.
And so basically then I still do live events, my studio still works, but I started like focusing more on education because for me it was like the artists would keep asking me the same questions over and over again, and they would go to other managers who had no idea what the hell they were doing, and then artists would get taken for a ride by labels, by managers, by companies, and I'm just like, guys, you need to understand the business. So
Right.
that's how the book came about, and that's how the music business course came about, basically.
Yeah. Well, so let's get into your book and the course. I know that you're doing workshops all over the place, and your book is great. So I mean, why don't you shed some light on that? A little synopsis and where they can go and buy
Sure.
the book and sign up for your course.
Yeah. So the book is called Indie 101 and it's available on Amazon. It's available right now. It's just because of lockdown, I can't ship it, but it will be open next week once lockdown opens up. But yeah, it's available on Amazon and there's a Kindle edition as well. The book is basically, it goes into every topic of the music industry, but for India. You have so many music business books out there, but there's nothing to do talks about how things work in India because India is different. So
Hmm.
the idea was to kind of give like a basic guide on what a manager does, how to be a manager, how to make a business plan, how to read contracts, how to, all of those things. And so I interviewed a lot of people from the industry as well because I didn't want it to be like, oh, Ritnika sitting there giving her shit. Because you know how it is as an artist also, if you're putting out your product, there is that fear that nobody's going to like what you put out. So I'm like, let's get other people's opinions also. Like,
Yeah. Oh, cool.
so that was great. I launched it on the 10-year anniversary of MGMH, where all of you guys played, or at least half of the guys played, and it was a great, great gig. And then 2 years later, I realized musicians don't like to read books, or some don't like to read books. So I was in talks with a couple of schools, and I, got in touch with SACAC, which is Sri Aurobindo Center of Arts and Communication, and I really liked that school. I really liked their vibe. The people there are very genuine, very loving, and we decided that I would set up India's first and only standalone music business course.
That's amazing.
So yeah, so that's pretty much how it started. So right now the course is digital because of COVID.
I
So
see.
and people can, the next batch starts in August. So people can just go to SACAC's website and start applying. It's a 2-month course. It's on the weekends because I wanted people to be able to work or go to school or whatever. It's taught earlier in the day, so people who have gigs later on can go to sound check. Those are the things that are
Yeah.
but and it's very like real world, like in the sense of each weekend we discuss and one topic like publishing or recording or management, and each assignment is very real world. So at the end of the course, if you're an artist or you want to be an artist manager or work in the industry, you have a lot of things ready for you already.
Right. Right.
And we get guest people to come and chat and talk about their life, and I tell a lot of stories. I'm like the worst official teacher ever because I tell so many inappropriate stories, like, like I'm just like, do you know the time when Axl Rose wanted women? And like, go into that shit. But yeah, the idea is basically that after they're done, they have, and we've had, we've had people who have been in the industry for 10-15 years attend the course. We've had freshers attend the course. We've had musicians. We've had people who want to work in the business.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them, have gotten jobs in the industry after that. So, the idea is that. And then I would just do workshops with different places. And then CD Baby came around. And, they also love educating artists and doing workshops. So then it basically was a perfect fit for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so before we go any further, I mean, all of this is amazing and interesting. And before anybody loses track, pause this video or pause the podcast or whatever you're listening to, and check out the link in the description. There's going to be links to Ritnika's book, and there's going to be a link to the SACAC website where you can go and either buy the book and or register for the course. And I think just stuff like publishing. I mean, like, this is something that no one even thinks of. Nobody, like, it
Mhm.
doesn't cross anybody's mind about, publishing and percentages and royalties and stuff like that. And this is like real stuff that you can actually make money from. So learn about it. Check out the link in the description. Okay. We're back.
Plug.
Yeah, no, man. Shameless plug over there for you.
Thank you.
Oh, so that's really cool, man. That's really cool. I think I mean, I always look back and I have fond memories. Like I remember, I remember the balcony TV thing that we did.
Oh, yes, that was great. I love that.
You were the one on the mic, which
Yes, I was the one introducing you.
it was so weird because we were pretending like we don't know each other, or we were pretending very formal.
I think the song was called Dream Girl or something, right? And at the end, I'm like, am I your dream girl or some shit like that? I'm like, I can't be serious. Like, look at me. Like, come on.
Oh man, holy shit! I think they've removed those videos.
I have links to all of them, by the way.
All of them. Yeah, you got to send that to me for sure.
It's all on. I think I have a separate. It's on MGMH's YouTube channel. There's a separate playlist where I have linked them. They're there. They're just hidden.
Okay, I got you. I got you. No, but I would remember that was just so much fun. And then once all the filming was over, there was some other band there, some kids, and we then we guys were sitting in that little barsati type of place
Yeah.
in the terrace, and there was shitloads of beer. And I remember we were just going ape shit on the beer, and we were laughing about some shit or the other. And I remember those
Good
kids
times.
coming and sitting with us, and they were scandalized as to the amount of beer.
You know what I found out about those kids? The lead singer, great, it was a good band. The lead singer is the daughter of my doctor, and I had no idea.
Oh, really? Well, shit, what a small.
And I've had that doctor for like 10 years. And then I'm like, he's like, oh, I never really, my daughter's also in a band. And suddenly I'm like, hey, I know her. Like,
Frisky Pines?
no, the Funkasaur, I think that was the name of the band. Frisky Pines is the band I managed.
Right. No, and I remember the Frisky Pines were playing at the 10-year anniversary where I played as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a fun night.
Frisky Pines, my babies. They'll always have me as their manager, even though I don't manage anybody.
Yeah, because okay, so managing an artist, has the business model changed now from what it used to be? Because it cannot be the same, right?
The thing is, a manager is the first point of contact for an artist, and a manager's job is to kind of oversee every aspect of the artist. So, like, this is one of the things that I didn't like about in the big thing about how managers were in India. It's like, oh, we'll only focus on gigs. Oh, we only focus on something. For me, when I manage artists, and maybe that's why I got burnt out. For me, it was like a marriage. So when I managed a band, like I was the one they would call if they get arrested. I was the one picking up after them. I was the, like I was like their mother. Like, it's probably not a good thing, but so of course strategies change, but the role of a manager never changes. Sure, maybe now we got to go more online, and we got to think of other ways of making money, but the role of a manager does not change and will not change, because they have to take care of everything.
Right.
They are the ones who have to hire the agent. They're the ones who have to hire the publicist. They're the ones who have to do all of that.
My perception of the way a lot of managers were in India, at least that was my perception of it. It seemed like there were managers here and there that had started to come up that were more like booking agents.
And that's
yeah.
They still do that. And this is one of the biggest things I like to teach in my course. I'm like, if someone is just getting you shows, they're your agent, which is perfectly fine. We all need agents, but don't call them your manager, because you're giving them too much credit, and B, you're not letting them do the work that they should be doing. Right. So either you make them do the work of a manager, or you don't give them that title and just be like, this person is my agent.
Yeah. Exactly.
So the example is, if I don't know if today's kids, I don't know, for some reason, today's kids don't watch Entourage, and that is homework in my course. But like, if you're a manager, you're E. If you are an agent, you're RE. Simple as that. And everybody needs to watch the bloody show.
Yes, everyone needs to watch the show. It's amazing. There's another one that's come out, Ballers.
It's sports. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I mean, I like my Entourage, but
good, but it's no Entourage. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It's no Entourage. It's never going to be Entourage, but it's cool because it's
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, kids don't know. Like, in my last course, I was like, okay, guys, Entourage. They were like, what's that? I'm like, oh, what are they teaching you? It's cool.
I know, man. Like, Entourage is such a must. School of Rock is such a must. Oh shit! You heard about the drummer kid?
Yes. Yeah. So sad. Car accident.
Yeah, that's really, really sad. I ended up becoming friends with the drummer of School of Rock on Broadway.
Oh, nice.
And he was this Indian kid, Raghav. And
Wow.
he was, I mean, super young, obviously. I think he was like, whatever, 12, 13 years old or whatever age appropriate to play the part of Freddie, right?
Yeah.
So I became, good friends with his dad, Gaurav, and him. And we had booked a couple of jam pads and we jammed together and spoken about recordings and stuff like that. Yeah, man. I mean, so much talent. So much talent on Broadway is just unreal. What are,
Nice.
what was like your favorite Broadway show?
Okay, so my all-time favorite movie is Grease.
Oh,
So you can imagine the Broadway of Grease. But honestly, the one that I watched the most is Lion King. Oh,
yeah, it's amazing.
oh my God. Like I love my Grease, it's my favorite, but Lion King, the musical, oh,
Have
I've
you
seen it in London, I've seen it in New York, I've seen it like everywhere.
yeah. Have you seen Book of Mormon?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Twice, it's unreal. And then there was Matilda, and Matilda was a little different in New York and a little different in London. Like there was the structure of a couple of
Oh,
them
yeah?
were a little different.
Yeah.
But I love that show, and I love Tim Minchin. He's just brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I kind of I just fell in love with that show and the music of that show and stuff.
Nice. Yeah, no, I mean, I like, yeah, for me, it was always like, I liked Fame. I like, the old school vibes, I like those.
I like that type of shit.
Then now when I go to New York, I think the last musical I went to, I took my granny for the ABBA one. Which one is it? The movie, whatever.
Oh, Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia, but I took her in London because I took her, she hadn't seen a musical ever. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So that was great. But yeah.
The first
Yeah.
one. Even Jersey Boys, shit, man. I've seen shit ton of shows.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
I mean, like when I was there, I was more focused. Again, the focus shifted to gigs, and then now when I go to New York, I just hang with my friends and get drunk. So,
no, of course. Okay, so what are your favorite like hangout spots in New York? Let's get
honestly, I mean, for me, it's like when it comes to New York is where my best friend lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me is whatever we can do together. So it doesn't really matter where we are. She was my college roommate. I met her on the second day of class, and I'm going to start crying right now because I'm the maid of honor in her wedding, and her wedding is this Sunday, and I couldn't make it because the damn US freaking shut the borders.
I know you told me about this the other day on the phone. I remember.
So this week has been really tough. I've just been drinking and crying, and she messaged me saying you're not here, and it's like everything is like, but
I'm kind of in the same boat, man. Like I have to go for my cousin's wedding, and I'm the best man.
Best man. Mm-hmm.
And, but luckily for me, I have a little more time to get.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine.
That's in August. Yeah, that's in August, and that's in Toronto.
Yeah.
So if I go there, I have to go to New York because that's I have 3 guitars in New York, just sitting there right now. My friend's apartment is just like sitting there. My Les Paul is just fucking just.
But that's the thing. Like, I mean, So, but when I go, it's just, usually just catching up with friends, so like wherever. And when I'm there, it's like, I'm very close to my best friend's family. So I'll go over to their place. They know me really well. Like, they're like, Ritz is coming. There needs to be mashed potato. There needs to be gravy. There needs to be some good ass steaks. And there needs to be lots of booze. Like, they're just like, Ritz is coming. She needs steak and taters. Like,
even though that's not very New York, but still. Like, I mean, I would always hit up Shake Shack. I would always hit up Jaya. There was this Thai restaurant on 3rd Avenue.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know if you ever went there.
No. So this is what they used to tease me. I used to love Olive Garden. And my friends like, this is the most shittiest thing. And this is college time, right? I mean, of course, at that time, we weren't going to any fancy restaurant.
Especially
but I'm like,
I hate that place.
Dude, I agree. And I make fucking fresh pizzas now and pastas myself. But there's just something about that garlic bread. I love it,
Like, come on. It's pretty fucking awesome. I like it.
So I'm like, I've been to Italy like 10 times. I love good Italian food, but I also it's like I love good tacos, but I also like Taco Bell.
Like, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a purist for
Yeah, exactly. But for me, like,
But the garlic bread is awesome. So,
yeah, I mean, what I love the most about New York is just walking around the city,
yeah.
exploring places. Like, I don't like to go to the same place every time. So I'll just be like walking around. I'm like, hey, what is this? Like, I travel alone a lot. Like, I travel all over the world alone.
I think, of course, it's definitely about who you're with, and I used to love the whole Stone Street area because that was, downtown. That was where my studio, but not
Hmm.
my studio, but the studio where I was working at. That
Yeah.
was it was right behind, and it used to give like a very European vibe, just the coffee
Yeah.
streets and stuff like that. I used to just I used to
Yeah.
love all of that, man.
Or you go down, go near Bleecker, listen to some jazz, uh, eat a hot dog in front of Macy's with the works.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Have
yeah.
a uh, go further north, go to an old record store, pick up LPs. Like, I just like, for me, I think the main reason I work
Hmm.
of any kind of job is
Yeah,
so I can travel. And of course, New York, because Christina's there, is different. But for me, I have to travel. Like the last year, that's why I ran to Goa, because at least I'm getting on a flight. Like it's my suitcase is my security blanket. I need it to be ready to be filled because I have to travel. It's just something about it. And I travel all over alone. Like I go to for 1 month vacations all alone to different countries.
you do.
And people are like, you're crazy. I'm like, no. And they're like, what do you do? Don't you get bored? I'm like, no, you make friends along the
And
way.
actually, it forces you to kind of interact with strangers more
Mhm.
than you would if you
Yeah.
are with a
A
group of
group.
friends, because you would just kind
Exactly.
of be within that group of friends.
Yeah.
And but when you're all alone, it just kind of pushes you.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, I also believe that it really makes you understand yourself a bit more. I think people don't spend enough time alone. And I think when you're alone, it really kind of makes you understand. Like I was in Goa, for the first 4 months, and most of the time I would go to a restaurant with a book and order a glass of wine, and just that's what I used to do in Europe, and just like watch the world go by.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I love it.
and there's there's a strange sense of introspection when you're alone. But like I exactly like, but somehow it's different in Europe. There's the
Yeah.
interest is different in Europe than
Yep.
in the US, and I don't know.
US is different vibe. US is more, I can't do the sit in the cafe and have a drink with a book in US. I can do that in Europe. US may it's like I'll walk around, I'll get drunk, I'll party. Like I don't know, the different vibe is very different.
Very
But I was told that right now, because of all the lock, the COVID situations, a lot of restaurants in New York have outdoor seating now in the city. So it's become kind of more of the European vibe. So hey, maybe things are
Yeah, I mean,
evolving.
the weather is good right now, so they can afford to do that. But like, come November,
You can make like an Iceman.
oh my god, almost freezing to death one time. My god,
Oh my god, yeah. The
absolute.
snow. Oh, it's crazy.
But I miss it though.
Right.
I miss being there, and I miss all those people. I think it's just
Yeah. Yeah. I
unreal.
mean, I think, I love, like, it's weird. Like, I don't think I could ever move anywhere else anymore. I think I'm too old now, like outside the country. But if I have to be in India without travel, then I might lose my mind. So it's like I have to leave India every so often to appreciate India when I come back. Otherwise, I will not appreciate it at all.
Yeah, holy yeah, man. No, but like this is amazing. I think whoever's watching this, and they if they go and click on the links that are in the description, they can go check out your book, which really educates you about just being a musician, just the management side of the business side of things.
Mhm.
You go check out the classes at Sakak. What about CD Baby? How did that whole process come about?
So, I mean, honestly, it was interesting. So, last couple of years, I started getting more into spirituality and like self discovery, and I don't know, it just something changed, and I became like a life coach and started doing EFT and shamanic healing and things like that. And I thought, like, this is what I thought. I started getting into education, and I stopped management. And I thought I would just do the teaching, my studio, consulting on like Sula and all the big festivals that I do, and then just working on counseling and healing and things like that. Actually, this is even before the course started, and then the course started, and I realized that, like, for many years I was just doing like oracle card readings and healing, and I was just like, hey, when I teach this course, it's sort of like counseling, because like my courses are like my classes are more fun and more interactive, and then my students still reach out to me, and we talk about everything. They're like, hey, I have a problem in my dating life, or like those are the kind of things. So I'm like, maybe this is part of my mission work, like I should be teaching, like I like, so I got into that whole phase, and then I don't know. It was so strange. I read an article
Mm-hmm.
on LinkedIn or somewhere that spoke about how CD Baby was expanding, and they had just hired like Hen and Rich from the UK office, and there was like like a quote about that. So I'm like, this is interesting. What is this? And like I Googled it, and I found out Ellie, who's now my boss, his there was a state, like a quote from him that how CD Baby needs to expand to India, not India, expand globally. So I added him on LinkedIn, and I just sent him a message saying, you should consider India, because India is a big market, and we need more, blah blah blah. Surprisingly, he messaged me back, and he was like, let's have a chat. So I had a chat with him, and I told him he needed to come to India, and he hadn't thought of India at that time as such. It wasn't on the radar. Basically, next thing you know, I gave them an idea what we should be doing in India, strategy, yada yada yada. A couple of months went back. I got in, I was like, no, this is not gonna happen. I don't know, like it was weird, because my whole thing was, I am still MGMH. I will always be MGMH. So it's not like I am quitting my job to get a job, because I'm not used to having a boss. Like I'm not used to like working for someone in that sense. So I could never like be one of those people that has to work in in a structured environment and things like that.
Yeah.
And luck for somehow, I guess they liked me, and they hired me as a country head for CD Baby.
Wow.
And I report directly to the US. So I don't technically have to, I still have the freedom to do whatever I want. And the good thing about CD Baby is that their mission, besides promotion and of artists and and everything, is education. And there, if you look at our website, we've got the blog, we've got the podcast, we do lots of workshops globally. And they were like, this is perfect for you because you're indie. This is indie. You like to teach indie music business. We're all about the teaching indie music business.
Wow.
So it was like it was like a perfect fit. And then that CD Baby got bought over at the company of the main company, and next thing you know, I now represent 4 or 5 different brands together. So I represent Fuga in India, which is for label distribution. I represent Song Trust. I represent of course CD Baby. So AdRev, which is YouTube monetization and things. So I suddenly represent like a bunch of their companies in India, and I get to teach and do everything else because they're very supportive of everything else I do.
Yes.
So yeah, it just kind of took over.
And see, and I mean, there's a huge lesson to be learned in that story that just never be afraid of reaching out to people, no matter
Yeah.
how huge you may perceive them to be.
Yeah.
Because it may just work out.
Exactly. And you know what? I am a strong ass believer that you can manifest anything you want in life. And I remember I do something called gratitude journal, where I write what I want to manifest, but as if I already have it. Right. So I'm so grateful I have this. I'm so grateful I have that. So couple of years ago, I actually remember writing in that diary, like, it would be amazing if I had a job where I could work with like international companies. So because they, in India, it's like you're running after money, you're running after payments, nobody's professional. And I didn't want to like deal with that anymore. Right. So I was like, how amazing would it be if I didn't have to leave my own country because I have a dog here and yada, yada, yada. But I could still work in an environment which was very professional, where I didn't have to, which was international. And then randomly this opportunity came up. And then when things were, I wasn't sure if I was going to get the job because there was, a little bit of a delay. I just kept writing how grateful I was that I already had this job.
Yeah.
And I do believe and I tell people that I'm like, if you're trying to release music, and just be like, I'm so grateful that my album did well. I'm so grateful that the right people appreciate my music, and just be in that space, because you can manifest anything you want.
Yeah. No, no, absolutely, man. And I think gratitude is a part of completing the circle of visualizing. And, like if you believe in
Yep.
that stuff, like what you're saying, you manifest.
Mm-hmm.
The different ways that people can do that. People have
Exactly.
whiteboards and they would actually physically write things and
Mm-hmm.
that and they visualize that and all of that stuff. But that's only part one. But gratitude has got to be, you have to,
Part of it.
because you're getting something. So you have to at least
Yeah.
acknowledge it and give back. No, I
Yeah.
totally believe in that type of stuff as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's the science is really simple. Like, we're all energetic beings, and what we believe, like our outside world, is purely a reflection of our inside world. I won't call it science, because then all the science people will be like, "That's not science." But like, the point is, everything is energy, and that's science. All right. So, but the point is, like, it's like, if you think you're gonna have a bad day today, you're gonna have a bad day. If versus you may wake up in the morning and be like, today is going to be a great day, and we may have the same day, but your day is going to be good for you, because that's what you believed was going to be.
Mhm.
So what you think, you reflect back. So if you think people hate you, or if you think people don't like your music, or if you think I will never succeed,
Mm.
then that's what is going to be reflected back. So with gratitude, you're saying, I already have what I want.
Right, right. And and it's also important to know that there are different levels of success.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, believe me, man, like I've been around so many huge musicians in my time working at Engine Room that I mean, all these big guys, they're all human beings at the end of the day, as much as we glorify them and stuff. And
Mhm.
they have the same insecurities. They have the same, like, okay, I've achieved this, but now what's next? Now I need to achieve this.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, you have to be thankful for the whatever level that you have. If you have an album that's finished, believe me, you guys are way ahead
Ahead of a lot of people.
of people. A lot of people. Like, my God. I mean, I know so many friends of mine that just have, like, hard disks filled with incomplete songs.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I couldn't come up with anything for that, so I just kind of moved on. I'm like, yeah, but like, why don't you try to finish it? And I
Yeah.
get it, you can't really finish every single thing, but the fact that if you have even a song or an EP or an album that you have been able to finish and put out into the world, I think that's amazing.
I think it's also important to remember that you don't have to compare your journey, and like, what you see is not always the full picture. So I remember, so I do these mental health sharing circles with musicians and just generally with people. And I was at True School of Music, and some student asked me, like, how long will it take for me to make it?
Hmm.
So I asked if I wanted to be in music. So I asked him, what do you mean by make it? And he goes, to be successful. So I'm like, what do you define as success? He goes, I don't know. So, when people know me. So I was asked him, I'm like, do you think I'm successful? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, had you heard of me before today? And he goes, no. So I'm like, so then? I mean, what is success? Like, you don't, at the end of the day, you could compare yourself to somebody who may have been successful, but you don't know how many years they put behind the scene. Or if your own friend or colleague or whatever did well in 1 year, that doesn't mean that's your journey. Everybody's journey is different.
Absolutely. And there's such a big difference in being a musician and being famous. I mean, it really depends on
You
what
could be famous for the wrong things too.
wrong things. I mean, there's so many people, that exist in the world that have, you know,
Exactly. So, and you know what? I always tell people, don't. I mean, okay, depends on what field you're in, right? If you are an accountant and you hate numbers and you're just doing it for, I don't know why I keep using the word accounting, because I hate accounting. But like, if you want to be an accounting because you want to make money or whatever the hell you do when you're an accountant, fine, whatever. But if you are pursuing something that you're really passionate about, you know, remember why you're doing it. You're doing it because you want to create something, you have something to say, you have something to express. And at the end of the day, even if the whole bloody world hates it,
yeah,
you're not doing it for them. And I can tell you, when I wrote my book, I couldn't get a publishing deal because nobody wanted to publish it. They're like, this is not worth it. So I got into severe depression. The book sat on my computer for 2 years. That's what's a little outdated because I'd written it a while ago, and I also got insecure, and I was like, people are going to hate it. They're going to judge me, all of that. And then when I started, working on myself and healing, I was like, why did I write it? I wrote it because I wanted this information out there. So I'm like, okay, fuck it. I'll just release it myself. So I'm like, how do I release it? I got my TDS return. I put that money and released the book.
Yeah.
And I gave out 100 copies for free to all the bands I had worked with in the past, 10 years as a thank you, because I didn't do it to make money. All the money that comes goes back into printing more copies.
Yeah. No, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Holy shit.
And,
Yeah,
so
no,
that's the thing.
and no, and I, and I appreciate that whole the trust circle thing that you had going on, because I remember seeing that, and and that's great, and because a lot of people don't really talk about uh,
Everything.
their lives of being under depression and stuff like that, and I think so many people go through it. And, it was very nice because I went through depression.
Yeah, me
It was
too.
nice to kind of see something like that, even though I never took part in one of your circles, but
Yeah,
it kind of just felt nice that, oh, hey, something, there's some sort of a forum where
yeah, yeah.
and just kind of just be myself and let loose, and there'll be no judgment and stuff over there.
Exactly. I mean, it's basically, I started calling it it's called the good vibration sessions because, hey, we all need good vibrations. And it's based on my healing company, which is called Natural Vibrations. And I still do it. It's just the last 3-4 months, I haven't been doing too well, honestly. So I just didn't want to I think the last one I did it was in December or November. And right now, I've just try to get myself working on a lot of myself, so which is why I didn't want to do it. But the idea was that I have been to I've had a lot of issues growing up, and I'm not somebody who gets along with a proper psychiatrist or whatever. Maybe the person I went to I didn't gel with. Everybody's different. But I also feel that sometimes there's judgment because when you work in music, there are certain things about our lifestyle that may not feel comfortable talking to somebody about, or they may not understand why I need to drink a bottle of Jack a day. Like, okay, nobody needs to do that, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah. I
so
mean, if my
the
mom
idea,
could afford it, I would probably do that in times of my life. No,
yeah.
but there are.
But that's the thing. You need to have. So the idea was to have somebody who is from the same industry as you, and B, who has done it all. So I'm like, there is nothing you could tell me that will surprise or shock me because I've done it all. And the idea is I'm not going to tell you don't drink, don't smoke, don't do this, don't do that. The whole point is we talk. Whoever wants to talk talks. Whoever doesn't want to talk just listens. And it's like, hey, if you have something to add, like, hey, I hear you're going through this. I went through something similar. This is what worked for me. Maybe it'll work for you. Maybe it won't.
Yeah.
Or if nobody has any suggestion, it's just you telling people what's going on with you, and we're just there to support you and listen.
Right. No, and that's amazing, man. And I hope that you keep it going, and let
Yeah.
me know if I can help in any way.
Yeah, I mean, maybe next one you can also come, take a part.
Sure, man, because I think everyone's been through phases where they're kind of battling that type of shit, and
Hmm.
it was good to know that. And I think what you said is great. That when I think I feel most comfortable when I'm around other musicians.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason that I got into being a producer is I got a little sick of the whole gigging thing because I just saw the circuit going somewhere else, and
Yeah.
I I don't have the skills to be a DJ. So
I learned DJing. It did not do much for me.
actually a lot harder than it seems. So that's why I didn't want to knock it. But yeah,
Really?
I'm just not into that kind of music. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But I think being a producer, uh, I was around other musicians, and it was so cathartic for me that if I'm going through something, like even the last 2-3 months, I was going through a little bit of a bad phase, and I was not feeling that creative for my own music. I would sit in front of the computer. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to do now. But when I'm sitting with somebody else's song, somehow just the whole writing side of things, I don't need to worry about that now because that's them.
Mhm.
And I can somehow get
Yeah.
their head and get that across. And I think that has been very therapeutic for me, especially mixing, I felt, because then I'm all alone, but I'm working on someone else's song. And it's just been
Yeah.
so amazing. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think, I mean, the older we get, we kind of understand our place, and everything that we've done up till now, we've had our place. And like I realized, like I've gone through a lot of like self introspection, and I don't know what all crap I keep going through. But like one of the things I have like realized is from day one, since I started MGMH, the mission was always to help people.
right.
Even with management, it was like, I want to help artists. Then with shows, oh, I want to help artists. Oh, the studio, because I want to help the industry. And I'm like, Ritnika, what you actually like doing is helping people.
Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, great. So now I know that if I am, whether I'm doing my healing work, whether I am doing CD Baby, whether I'm teaching, it's me helping people.
Yeah.
And I think that's my mission.
Yeah. Yeah.
Simple.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing, man. And so what's next for you and for MGMH? Like what's next? Do you have
For
any?
me, I would like to get laid. No.
Oh,
Okay, if this is like supposed to be PG-13 or
no, no,
something,
man. This is
I
that is- that's so funny. I think that's been the funniest moment on the show.
can you imagine how my classes are?
Holy shit. No, man. That's awesome.
Um,
That's awesome. But no, man, thank you so much for being a part of the show. I think having known you for this long and worked with you for so long, I learned things about you that I didn't even know. So I'm super happy that you came, and I think it's always such a great time to chat with you and just to get to know you a little better, even after 30 years. I knew that was possible.
yeah, I know. Honestly, thank you so much. And yeah, I mean, I think the future steps are bright. I mean, MGMH is going to continue teaching and hopefully eventually be able to do shows and concerts again and festivals again. And with CD Baby and Song Trust and Fuga, the idea is to keep expanding, to keep educating artists and helping artists, and hopefully be able to start going back to in-person workshops and things like that. So let's see.
Yeah. No, awesome, man. Thank you so much. And how can people find you on the socials? Like, what are
All
your?
right. So it's MGMH, so which is MGMH India on Instagram, Facebook, Ritnika Nayan, or CD Baby India on Instagram.
Awesome, awesome. Well, everyone, go follow Ritnika.
Follow me on all three.
Follow- and
MGMH India, Ritnika Nayan, and CD Baby India.
let's do it. Let's do it. All right, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's been amazing.
Thank you for having me, man.
Peace.